This is the Hunt Quietly podcast. I'm Matt Ranella. Just to catch folks up, we had some AV issues, and then, we first started talking about health concerns, and then that we share, and then we foot problems primarily, and then because I'll probably just leave that out. We caught up a little bit, had some AV problems. We're back on, and I was telling Ryan that me and my little group that I work with on things, the way I'd characterize us is, I guess, outcasts, in that we have a lot of disagreements with what you hear in from the mainstream orgs and hunting media platforms. And I wanted to lay out for Ryan where we sharply disagree with the mainstream perspective, and this is I would rather just stop talking about this stuff and talk about hunting than have it get at all like acrimonious. This is going to be a civil discussion, and get Ryan's take on our stances, and then I want to ask Ryan about what he's working on at BHA. So I wanted to start out talking about R3, the recruitment, retention, reactivation, I don't know what you call it, movement or initiative to recruit, retain, reactivate hunters. I am an R1 guy. I'm a retention guy. But in my view, retention is at cross purposes with recruitment and reactivation. That gains in one are, I believe, offset by losses in the others. And I think the survey data, which I'll share a little bit of later on, hopefully, bears that out. So the first thing I wanted to do was, a couple things, and I'm going to let you respond, Ryan. I'm going to lay out a couple things. About a year or two ago, we went through some backcountry journals, the chapter news and updates, and we quantified every activity that the state and provincial chapters described. And what we came away with from that exercise, our estimate was that half or a little over half of what BHA does is hunter recruitment. And you may do other things that are not in the chapter news and updates, but that was what we have some bar charts on our Instagram that quantify the access, habitat, preserving hunter rights. We broke it down, and that's what we came up with. So I look at that and I think about how that's not, R3 is nowhere in BHA's founding documents. And I look at the mission page on the website, and here's a quote from the mission page. Wilderness hunting and fishing deliver a sense of freedom, challenge, and solitude that is increasingly trampled on by the twin pressures of a growing population and increasing technology. And in the issues page, I encounter this statement: North America's public lands and waters are the lifeblood of backcountry hunters and anglers. These are the cherished wild places that restore our spirits and provide the solace of solitude. So I'm just wondering how you square with your organization the importance that you place on R3 with these passages from the mission statement and the issues page. I mean,
Is
they
that the
just seem,
question?
yeah, they seem to be at cross purposes.
Um,
You're
I
extol.
think,
Okay, go
I
ahead.
think, uh, yes, if you were going to look at things through the agenda of coming to that conclusion, you've got me, or us, or the past administration. I think, you obviously said it, right? Where it's like the things that are in the journal or the chapter news are the things that are featured in the journal and chapter news.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Probably not representative of the organization as a whole.
Oh,
I'll
well,
tell you,
tell me more because I just assumed they would be. It would be.
well, you just said it yourself, right? Like those are the things that are featured there.
Well,
And of the things that were featured there, you came to the conclusion that over 50% had to do with what you categorize as R3.
yeah. So what I'm wondering is I could see it being either. I could see it being one of three ways. That by looking at the chapter news and updates, they provide an unbiased estimate of what percentage of the activities of the organization are R3. They provide an upward or downward bias estimate. I'm ambivalent as to which of those it is. Which do you think it
I
is?
will tell you right now, like the biggest challenge that we have across the organization is like efficient reporting of what the organization is doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll tell you, we don't have like accurate reporting right now. And I think we're doing things better than we ever have as an organization right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well,
it's very hard for me to say, like, I guarantee like what is represented there is not like holistically representative of the organization because we can't do it right now. It's volunteer led is the truth, and our job as staff is to kind of wrangle all the data
mm-hmm.
um, whenever and however that comes in. So one of my largest challenges, right, is answering like the simple question of what is it that BHA does? And I kind of feel like a shady salesman because I go like, well, what are you into? Because
Mm-hmm.
chances are like we're doing it somewhere across the organization because unlike and this is like the Achilles heel, but also the power of the organization is we kind of support those passion projects amongst chapters. So rather than being in like the cookie cutter mold of you want to be a chapter in this organization, you follow this script, you fundraise, here's the banquet, the money comes to national, and then our staff executes. We kind of throw that out the window and you as a chapter decide what you really want to work on. We tried our level best to make sure it's within the mission. And, you know, BHA's mission is very broad. And, sometimes we're working on things right now that we probably wouldn't have been working on in years past and vice versa.
Yeah.
Um, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I do. I do. The emphasis changes based on the threat assessment and the opportunities and
And who those volunteers are that are stepping up,
right.
like
Right.
to the board level, right?
Right.
So,
And
um,
to me, it's just like any R3 is counterproductive in my.
yeah, but I don't know what the hell R3 is
Well,
at this point, right?
Let me read you some chapter news and updates from the spring journal, the one that just came out. And this is just a few that I copied off. This goes on and on and on. The California chapter hosted a duck camp and advanced hunter education at Mendota Wildlife Area with
That was with our, at least partially with our Armed Forces initiative.
the
Yeah.
Arizona chapter hosted its hunting for sustainability workshop, welcoming both new hunters and past participants following safety discussions and clay shooting. Participants learned how to hunt, field dress, and cook wild game. I mean, whether you, we are on board with this or not. I'd say that is clearly R3. The New England chapter's Massachusetts state team held a virtual learn to hunt small game course with more than 100 attendees, and page after page of stuff like that. I want to like in a very objective way say why that's problematic to me. So and to do so, I'm going to rely on a report from your organization. So you guys
Matt, is this like the style of your show? You invite people on to talk at them?
No, go ahead. If you have something to interject, go ahead.
Would you like to learn about me and what we have going on?
That's like I said, Ryan, that's the second half of the interview. The first
But we got to
half,
wait through the first half is not interview. The first half is talking at.
No, I'm leading up to a question, and then I'm going to let you respond.
Okay, and is this stuff that is like recent, like under my purview?
No,
Within the last 6 months?
No, but it still seems relevant because I'm wondering if this is something you're going to change or something you endorse and plan on doing more of.
Well, why don't we talk about going forward, bud?
We can't have a discussion about a report that your organization put out in 2024.
Are we having a discussion?
Yeah.
Okay. Have I seen the information ahead of time?
I'm going to read some excerpts and I'm going to lay that out for you. I don't know if you've seen it or not. If not, it seems like something you might want to look into.
You should have supplied ahead of time.
It's your organization, Ryan.
But you came up with the report.
Go
Matthew?
ahead. I'll just shut up. You just tell me what you want to talk about.
Matt, buddy, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
You came up with the report and you didn't deliver it to me ahead of time, and you would like to talk at me about it?
No, I'd like to just ask you some questions and get your take. These are going to be direct quotes from the report. It's quite simple. I mean, it was a multi-$100,000 grant, Pittman Robertson's dollars that you guys got for this. And you were on the board of the volunteer board before you took the job you have now.
Would you like to reschedule this and provide me the information ahead of time so I can understand what we're going to talk about?
How about if I try it? And if that's still what you want to do.
Does this sound this sound appropriate to you?
Yeah.
It does.
Do you know about this report? Let's establish that. Harnessing the growth in 35 to 44-year-old fishing and hunting participation.
I don't.
Okay, so do you trust me to tell you what it's a survey. Do you trust me to state the numbers that are presented in the survey to the answer for questions?
I'd prefer to see the survey and go through the data myself.
Okay.
That sounds fair, doesn't it?
I guess, if you don't trust me.
What do you mean?
I mean, I have a table here from the report. A question.
Matt, approaching things in this way, does that seem like a trust building exercise to you? It seems like you're coming at me with an agenda. I didn't really come up in our previous conversations here. I thought you wanted to learn about the organization and what we were doing.
No, I wanted to.
That's why I agreed to come on here.
Well, no, it's an interview. So you're not.
Well, let's interview then.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to lay out.
Provide me the data ahead of time, dude. I mean, this is basic stuff.
Let's see what else I got. So we can't talk about.
We can talk about all sorts of stuff, buddy, but it's like if you want to drill into the numbers of a report, don't you think the proper way to do that is to let people have the report ahead of time? And
it's your organization's report.
Oh my gosh, Matt. What does that? I mean, give me the time to prepare.
There's no preparation
Do
needed.
you think, Matt,
I do not. Here,
that
let me just read. Let me just.
my
We can
onboarding,
reschedule, but we can reschedule. But I just don't understand why you're
I
like.
need you to understand this. Do you think that my onboarding at this organization, or let's say at the organization that you work for, when you went to onboard, did they say, hey, here are all the previous reports that we've published? You better get up to speed. And by the way,
No, but
here's how you sign in with your email.
you've been on the leadership board of this organization for years, and regardless, it doesn't. It seems like an unrealistic expectation. You never asked me what I was going to ask you.
Matt,
You never asked
dude,
me what I was going to ask you, and you still have no idea what I'm going to ask you. You won't let me ask.
Matt, if you think that this is a reasonable thing to ask one of your interviewees
About a report, I absolutely do. Some survey data, I think it's great. I think it's a great thing to talk about.
and your expectation, as you've already stated,
You have
is
no
that I
idea
will
what I'm
have
even
the
going
intimate
to.
knowledge of
Okay.
this report because I have been on the board of BHA, right? That's your expectation.
Okay, let me try one. Let me just try one. Here's a question
Matt,
from
what are we doing, dude?
Well, let me try one. And you tell me how audacious this is.
Matt,
So
the way I want to start this is by laying out our perspectives because we're a radical organization that doesn't jive with any of the other orgs out there, which I don't believe. I don't follow anything out there, as you and I have discussed personally. We haven't covered that. Would you like to do that?
no,
you said the
we
agenda was
agreed at the beginning that I could ask some questions and then we talk about what you're doing at the organization. You said that
you were going to lay out your
was
positions.
Fine. I am trying. That's what I'm doing. I'm telling you why I oppose R3, and then I want to get your response. That's all I'm doing. I oppose R3 because of the answers to surveys like the one I was going to tell you about.
Matt, I mean, what's like the hook here?
There is no hook.
Right. So the lead up is that through chapter news and journals that you've gone through, you've seen more than half of the items represented there, the media represented there as R3. And you don't like R3.
And now I was going to give you some. I was going to give you some data from your organization.
You don't like R3.
Can I read one?
You don't think we should be having this much R3 represented in our journals and chapter news?
No, I don't think you should do R3.
What is R3 to you?
I just read you 3 examples.
Cooking food for people, taking people hunting.
Learn to hunt. Yeah, that's R3. That's what R3 is to me. Yeah.
Right. And you don't do any of that.
I am opposed to org-based R3. My first public statement I ever made about hunting, I was an article I wrote for Meat Eater, 2020, and the last line in that article was, let friends and family recruit the next generation of hunters. That's a model that's worked for thousands of years. So I don't think that orgs should be doing it.
Okay. Sounds good.
I'm very surprised that you won't let me lay out some of your data from your organization. It's sad to me.
Oh, are you bummed, bud?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of concerns, and it's like, and the reason I
hit me
started
with your
all
concerns.
I am. That's what I'm trying to do. My concern is that that 60 or 50% of people, according to this survey, choose where to hunt based on crowding. That's a concern to me. That only 38% choose where to hunt based on game abundance. People, when they go to hunt, they're more concerned about crowding than they are even if there's abundant game there. With fishing, I choose where to fish based on crowding, 65% of people. That's concerning to me. It suggests
Are you assuming though that they're wanting to go elsewhere because of crowds, or they're wanting to go to that spot because of crowds?
I choose. They're not.
You ever been walleye fishing in the Midwest?
Oh, come on. You
come on. Are you kidding me?
You're
I was
saying,
blown away, man.
You're saying
blown
that these people are like, it's not crowded enough there. So that's why
listen, the first time I ever went walleye fishing in the Midwest, we got on the Missouri River, and it was bend after bend after bend of just gorgeous river. And we finally come around a bend, and there's 60 frickin' boats out there, shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow. And what do? Much to my shock and surprise, is just like get right in the rotation with them. Chinook salmon fishing.
Okay, let's just drop this. God. Let's just drop this whole thing. If you think that
you think that's a good example, though? Doesn't that make you go, "Oh, holy shit, I've seen that"?
If you think that these people are saying,
do you think you haven't seen that, Matt?
If you think that these
you people
are just fucking jumping all over every
fishing?
You jump over every sentence I say.
Have you ever been paddle fishing in Montana?
Of course I have.
Yep. Have you been where the crowds are?
That's because that's where the fish were. I wish there were fewer people there.
Yeah,
I wish there were fewer people. So you think when these people say, I choose where to fish based on crowding, that they're seeking out the crowd?
I think that some of them certainly do. You've seen it.
No.
You've never seen it.
Seek out the fish, and the crowd is a thing they have to deal with.
Matt, dude, you know there's a lot of people who are like, ooh, there's a crowd over there. We better go check it out. And I'm talking fishing.
Next topic. Next topic.
Right?
Next topic.
You think there's a bunch of folks who see a bunch of trucks at a trailhead and think, ooh, maybe not today, but tomorrow I'm going to get here early because there must be something good here.
I don't think you believe what you're saying.
Matt, what happened to cordial?
I cannot believe you think when these people say I choose where to hunt based on crowding that I don't believe that you believe that they're saying this spot isn't crowded enough.
Fishing.
Let's just stay hunting.
Okay, let's rewind the clock and say
that was the first thing I said. That's the first thing I read,
and I said fishing. Let me tell you a story about the first time I went walleye fishing on the Missouri.
Well,
is that ringing any bells?
You're going to be delighted by the conclusion to the report, because if you're right, if there are people like, man, if it was only more crowded, then
is that what I said?
Yeah, well, that's what you're saying. That's your hypothesis.
No, that's not my hypothesis. I said, here's my story about fishing on the Missouri. Right? Have you ever been paddle fishing?
Next topic.
Right? Is that jiving?
Next topic. So what defines...
I mean, if you want to talk about a survey, and we can't argue about the questions of the survey, which in modern times is always the argument.
I believe that you believe
Matt, I am
people are
fucking
seeking
with
out
you so hard right now, and you are making it so fun and easy.
Well, I'm trying to have a serious discussion.
Come on. Dude, you're not doing a good job.
How so?
You blew up and said fuck whatever to your podcast guest. Come on. Get more pro.
Okay, sorry. So,
I'm sorry too. Let's move forward in a friendly manner.
So you you do believe when they say, I choose where to fish based on crowding, that they want it to be less crowded.
I want to see the actual question asked in the survey.
That's it. That's verbatim. I choose where to fish based on crowding. And it's a percent that agree and disagree. And the
Well,
percent,
listen, man, if you've ever been ice fishing anywhere or walleye fishing, I just can't, like, to be a pragmatic, straightforward dude. Like, I've just seen it too many times. Hunting, different thing. But fishing, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, Matt. Like, you have seen it too.
seen what?
You're a Midwest dude. You have seen people attracted to other people on the ice.
A minute ago, you said you were fucking with me. Which is it,
Well,
Ryan?
of course I was, because it's
okay.
fun.
Now you're back to making the same point.
Because it's real. That is real.
Are you
and
fucking
you know
with me?
is.
And you think crowding is
No,
that these people
Matt.
like crowding? Are you being serious?
Let's
And you
think
they
about
like
perch fishing on a frozen lake. What have you seen people do? Get closer and closer and closer together based on that bite. And when certain people hit the ice, they crane their neck and they're looking for people. Right? I mean, you've just seen it. Now, that's not the spirit of this survey, right? I don't believe that's the spirit of the survey. But the way that question is asked, particularly for fishing, I've just seen it enough to where you kind of have to be like, well, some people do choose where they're going to fish based on crowding, but they go towards the crowds, not away. And you cannot tell me in your wide world of experience, you have not seen the same thing.
yeah, I've seen that. I don't see that as I see that I don't see that as in any way salient to the discussion, but yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, moving on. Sorry, it's your podcast. We can move on when you want.
So the report conclusion after seeing it 50, I'll just say the hunting part, 50% choose where to hunt based on crowding because it's less controversial with the two of us. Recruitment efforts must constantly remind people to fish and hunt before other activities capture their attention, which I just found mind-boggling given the survey responses. So, but yeah.
What was the last one? Recruitment efforts, what?
Must constantly remind people to fish and hunt before other activities capture their attention. This is in this PR funded.
What does that mean?
Well, the title of the survey is Harnessing the Growth of 33 to 44-year-old Fishing and Hunting Participation. So the goal is of the survey was, how do we overcome barriers to recruitment? So their starting point is that we want more people to hunt and fish. Then they get all the survey data saying that indicating that the barriers to participation are crowding. And then their conclusion is recruitment efforts must constantly remind people to fish and hunt before other activities capture their attention.
Okay.
Which is troubling to me. Then the next thing I wanted to talk.
But like on the hunting side, I mean, that's just like has always been part of public land hunting for me. Is I've always gone to just all sorts of shitty spots because my primary goal is to be alone. Secondary is to find success in a super nasty spot. So I guess that would just be like normal.
Okay.
Not shock. Is it shocking to you?
What shocking to me?
That you base, like, for public land hunting, you're making decisions on where you think the crowd will be, and you want to put yourself where they are not?
Not at all. It's not at all surprising. What's surprising to me is that orgs can look at data like that, and there's many survey, and still engage in hunter recruitment, which I think of as the chief betrayal of the existing hunting community. Like the goal is to make that worse. The goal of recruitment is to make that
let's
worse.
talk about like your home state of Michigan, right? Like that state has a real hunter decline and declining hunter harvest rates. And the way that a fish and game agency is able to do actual wildlife management is rooted in the sale of conservation licenses and tags, correct?
Not necessarily. Like only about 5% of conservation hunting comes from hunters, according to the one report that's looked at it. It was
5% of conservation hunting?
5% of conservation funding comes from the hunting community.
Oh, funding.
Yeah, it comes from the hunting community, according to the one study that's looked at it.
Well,
in 2014.
I guess that's the overall conservation funding picture versus the example of Michigan DNR operating, right?
I'm just saying nationally about 5% comes from. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I get that. But that would be your understanding too, right? Is to pick that example because we know Michigan is seeing a decline in hunting participation and hunting harvest rates. And it was always like one of those states that you pointed to as like, you know, whatever, like more hunters hitting the woods than D-Day or whatever the thing that they'd always throw out. You see what I'm getting at
the overall
right?
numbers are up. There's never been more hunters in this country than there are right now, except for 1975 to 1985, when there were when there was a lot more land to hunt. There was less development and there was less leasing. So except for a 10-year period in all of human history, there's never been more hunters than there are right now. And this is according to the Fish and Wildlife Service 5-year survey that comes out every 5 years, and according to licensed sales. Both sources of data indicate the same thing. And there's never been more hunters per huntable acre than there are now, which is another reason why I oppose R3.
Well, what do you think about that Michigan example?
Oh, I for every state that hunter numbers are down, okay, for every state that hunter numbers are down, there's more states where hunter numbers are up because the overall trend is up. Now, harvest rates are down in Michigan, and I think of human beings as just like any other. I believe in predator-prey dynamics. Prey numbers are lower, so hunter numbers are lower. Harvest rates are. I mean, when you say harvest rates, I presume you're meaning deer harvested per hunter.
Deer harvest, yeah.
Deer harvest per hunter or deer harvest?
I think it's overall deer harvest, right?
Oh, okay. So then that negates the point I was trying to make.
I mean, I'm gonna, you know, this is just off the top of my head. We'll have to go back and like look at the hard numbers. But I mean, that's a pretty good case for R3, right? It's like if we exist,
I don't think you can do state specific R3.
Really? Why is that?
Because people travel to hunt.
And
I don't know why. Why do you want to crowd?
I mean, they
people,
do.
Why do you want to crowd people unnecessarily in Michigan? Even if the hunter numbers are down, only 5% of conservation funding comes from hunters. Like, what's the benefit in increasing hunter?
Well, again, right? You're saying like nationally 5%. I'm talking about like the existence and ability of the Michigan DNR.
Yeah, I'm open to it. I'm open to
right?
it.
You know what I mean?
I'll be open. I'm open to it. If Michigan is bleeding hunters and they're having a major funding crisis in that state, then I'm open to it.
Well, I mean,
in that state,
very specifically, right? Like, if that is the agency that manages wildlife in that state, and then you play this game, right, that we're seeing in several other states of like, well, maybe wildlife shouldn't be managed for hunters, and we should be managing wildlife for the non-hunters, right? When we go into like if you and I were running the business of wildlife management in Michigan,
Hmm.
and we're like, okay, our funding source is drying up. We have the choice to try to reinvigorate that funding source, or we diversify and bring in other funding sources. And that's certainly like part of the conversation in Washington and Oregon, not for the funding side, but it's like we're going to manage wildlife beyond the hunter and angler if it's public wildlife.
I'm all for managing them for non-consumptive users. Like I'm all for that. Like that's like I think that healthy wildlife populations are are extremely important for people that hunt and people that don't hunt alike.
Oh, I totally agree. And I want people to have that connection. I think the issue that we run into is like, do we lose opportunity, which, as you've mentioned, right, is already super stress because non-consumptive users have that interest represented, whereas it seems like wildlife populations and habitat have benefited for consumptive and non-consumptive users alike by the participation of hunters and anglers.
Yeah, I'm glad we have hunters and anglers. I am one. I just don't believe in R3.
Yeah, I get that.
Um, Especially since how we have more hunters per huntable acre than at any point in the history of the continent. Uh, but we beat that one to death, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
Another concern, just real briefly, is that,
do
and
you
I'm
see
all,
this played out in your day to day?
see what play out in my day to day.
More hunters per huntable acre than at any time ever.
Yeah, I'd say that both when I lived in Michigan and when I've lived here, um, that I through time I've abandoned a lot of hunting locations in Montana due to
Yeah, but I'd say
ridiculous.
that's like normal for the span of a hunter's life,
That's what I'm saying.
right?
Yeah, it's like it's never done anything but gotten worse. So why would I want R3?
Have you ever revisited those areas?
Yeah, yeah.
Huh.
I mean, license sales have increased steadily through time in Montana, and they're starting to restrict licenses more now in Montana because of crowding. Um, so,
Yep. I know,
uh,
I guess, my gallivanting around, more often than not, I'm always pretty surprised at because my expectation is horrible. Like I'm setting the bar super, super low. Like it's gonna be overcrowded. It's gonna be an anxiety fest. Um, it's not gonna be good. And I would say more often than not, I'm always like blown away by
how good it is.
how good it is. And I'm doing all the normal things, just hitting private land, public access, and public land. With a little sprinkling of you know, hitting the uncle's place or something like that here and there.
Yeah. I mean, another thing that is probably less subjective is just we're living in the era of like what defines hunting in America to me more that like predominantly more than any other factors. We're living in the era of reduced opportunity. Our abilities to hunt what we want when we want are are in free fall. Like
Because of
things going over from over the counter to draw, bag limit
yeah,
reductions.
from over the counter
Um,
to draw.
I,
Yeah.
I I have a list here of 40 things that have had 40 reductions and things going from over the counter to draw it from 2022 to present. Uh, and
I'll tell you, like growing up in the state of Montana, I've seen it go from if you killed any elk with a bow, you were like a big deal. High school, college. If and now I feel like it's like if you're not killing a mature 6 point bull with a bow, it's like, oh, you just got an elk. Because I feel like everybody's getting elk these days. That's anecdotal. I'm not looking at data, but I feel like we're really living in the good old times as far as like elk hunting in Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, which are the states that I have
yeah,
the most experience in. Um, Obviously, like when we talk about, it's always hard, like what you said is like abandoning places because I've certainly abandoned, seeded, left places myself, but most of the time it's been because just like the hunting is not good. Um, and it's taken me like years to realize why that is. Um, because like there is nostalgia and history in these spots and I've eaten tag soup and a gajillion freaking gorgeous places where your mental picture of a big bowler buck or whatever sitting out there is there, but that animal just never happens to be there. Um, and I think that's like part of what makes the public land hunting work is there's like that overlap, right, of people who come hell or high water, they're gonna put their camp in the same spot and do the same routine for the same week every single year, and they never step back and go like, the only thing in this landscape that hasn't changed is us, right? The forest has gotten taller. It used to be early successional growth. Now it's dark timber. Um,
yeah. Hunting
all the
spots are
normal changes,
dynamic.
right?
Yeah, hunting spots are dynamic. Stuff
Yeah. And
places
then
that
you have that pressure dynamic too. And I feel like, and this is obviously like spoiled kid stuff, right? Like gas costs money, time off costs money, but having the mental ability to be like, I'm gonna risk it all to see if I can find a new spot. Sometimes you do find those places where you're like, oh, this is my new spot for a couple of seasons, and it is
until some influencer
nobody there.
goes in there and records a video, and then it's over. But what
It could be that, or it could be right that those dynamics have changed.
um,
I got permission on a really sweet spot where there's not supposed to be like any pheasants, right? And last year it was so freaking fun, and the dog worked their ass off, and it was so cool. And there were plenty of birds there, not like a ton of roosters that we found, but it was just like our spot. And I was so jacked to go back there this year, and there just was not a freaking pheasant there
yeah,
at all.
yeah. I mean, my hunting's gotten better probably over time just because I'm more accomplished. Like I'm a better hunter, you know.
Yeah, your
Um,
experience level has
but
gone up, and you have the
I think
ability to like pull the ripcord and
yeah, but I mean,
confidence
I'm
in
not
finding
concerned
something
about
new.
myself. I'm concerned about the hunting community, and like we all have our anecdotes, but like I was saying, what we're living in now is the time where is the time where our ability to even go hunting is being more and more and more restricted. Like
Well, we string enough
non-resident dog.
anecdotes together, and
Yeah,
what
but
is
these aren't
that? What is
anecdotes.
that?
The but
I'm going back to your previous point. If you string enough anecdotes together, that's just experience, right? That is what makes you an accomplished hunter, is
right,
because you've got a hell of a lot more anecdotes than the young fella next to you.
yeah. But what I'm mostly concerned about, what I wanted to talk about was the reductions in opportunity, and
And I
how
think
you,
more are coming for
yeah,
sure.
and how do you square R3 with that? Like non-resident Dall sheep and caribou eliminated in the Brooks Range, non-resident archery deer tags capped Arizona, non-resident OTC elk eliminated Colorado, non-resident turkey season short in Florida, non-resident over-the-counter deer elk eliminated Idaho, non-resident over-the-counter turkey eliminated in Kansas, U.S. resident OTC waterfowl eliminated Manitoba, and this is like uh, a fifth of the list I got here. I just don't want to bore people, but it goes on and on and on. And
And
so,
I think
and
our
I look at
expectation should
that,
be
and
that that list keeps going, getting bigger and bigger,
yeah,
right?
and
Because
so
we're
where does
in an
R3?
era
Why?
of,
Why have R3? Like I'm a
well,
simple
do you
person.
want, yes, you're a simple person, but you're also super smart. I've known you for plenty long. So if you want to like start at the very top of the list, right? What was it? Doll sheep?
Hmm.
Do you think climate change, or do you think R3 is the biggest
I
threat
think that
to
some of
climate,
this is
to
habitat.
doll sheep?
It doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
There's fewer tags, whatever the cause is.
So if we destroy doll sheep habitat, that's the game you just invited me to play.
No, I'm not. That's not the game I intended to invite you to play at all.
Okay, well let's bring it back to a reasonable spot here. It absolutely does matter. We have got to have habitat.
Absolutely.
Let's not conflate that at all.
I am a restoration ecologist.
The effects of climate change on Dall sheep habitat are not something that is just like a weird errant
I'm
thing.
saying when I
And
say
R3
R3
is,
is it doesn't matter to R3 is ridiculous given the reductions in opportunity. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, do you think R3 factors into something as expensive as a Dall sheep?
I don't elaborate.
I mean, I'll never even consider a Dall sheep hunt because it's just like way too freaking expensive for me, man. I think we could do all the R3 work in the
Well, see
world
that
and we wouldn't
I
be adding to Dall sheep hunters. Do
in
you?
in general I don't. Here's where it's going to get a little bit complicated. In general, I don't think that org based R3 is very effective. One thing I think it's a missed opportunity because these volunteers, instead of doing learn to hunt, could be doing habitat work and writing letters to their senators. But the main reason that I it hurts my heart that the orgs are so invested in it is because I believe that hunting orgs, if they really cared about the hunting community, they would oppose the thing that really does bring people into hunting, which is media. So, and I think that people do go Dall sheep hunting because of media.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
I think
I'd like to see
people
a
go hunt all
BHA.
sorts of things because of media for sure.
Yeah.
Um, I also like I think R3, um, where like the whole R3 thing started was the modernization of the Pittman-Robertson Act, and there became a bunch of money out there for this. And I think at this point in the game, I think by and large, we've learned that most of these R3 efforts don't work. Um, you know, Again, we're a volunteer-led organization, and there's people out there who are freaking stoked to help people learn about this. And I love that. I think that's great. Um, I think you'd really, really struggle, Matt, to connect the dots between those efforts and noticeable hunters on the landscape that you or I are going to encounter.
Yeah, it's just that, like I say, I if I what would maybe turn the tide a little bit is if orgs like yours came out against hunting media. Instead, they're all in bed with the media people, like you guys and Meat Eater, NWTF, and all the turkey guys. Like, I firmly believe that if the hunting would be better for the existing hunting community if the orgs opposed hunting media. I think, for one thing, I think of hunting media as the leading destroyer of hunting access. And that's one thing that really concerns me deeply. They create a market for exclusive hunting media creates a market for exclusive access and yeah, this like tight relationship between the orgs and the media people. I just don't get it. I don't.
At this point, it's almost like our only news outlet, right? So, the Hill isn't gonna carry this loss of hunting opportunity because we're switching from general tags to lottery tags, right? We're not going to see that at E&E News.
Oh,
We're not going to
when
see
I
that
say
at
hunting media, I'm
Bloomberg.
sorry, I'm being confusing. I mean dead and dying animal based hunting media.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm all for hunting podcasts and stuff like that, like stuff that draws attention to issues that facing the hunting community. But so another thing that that just to close the loop on that, I just can't look at all the. We both agree that more and more we're losing our ability to hunt what we want when we want. So I struggle with R3 given that. But
Well, yeah, but can I say why I think like we're really heading into a bad place,
yeah,
right? Is the rapid adaptation of technology, right? Like I think on the barometer of a dead animal and a tag, barometer might be the gauge, right? Like the needle's moving.
mm-hmm.
You got dead animal on one side, and you got tag on the other side. Tag always used to just represent an opportunity. Had just the thing that you needed to be outside, saying you're hunting. And I think that gauge has moved way over towards the dead animal side. Where
You're
that
saying that
tag,
success rates have increased.
that's my gut feeling.
How
Like
could they
100
not when
days.
people are shooting freaking 3/4 of a mile and they have freaking like infrared and all that? I
I went,
hate that shit, man.
the first time I've ever been exposed to it, ever. Um, I guess myself personally, the we were on a hunt for cows, deer in Mexico,
Is
and
that how you say that? I've always heard it pronounced coos
I
deer.
vacillate. I always say coos deer. Coos deer is not correct. It's cows deer, but working man.
I just came up. I
I always say
invented a
cows
word
deer.
the other day. You know that word that people use a lot, cosplay.
Oh, cosplay. Yes.
Like
Yep.
it's a costume play.
Yep.
I've started. I have my word is cows play. It's people that wear cowboy hats and cowboy boots but don't work livestock.
Buddy, you should see the downtown Bozeman scene these days. Not that I see it very often, but and you don't
Okay.
want to be a dick to people, but I do want to ask. I'm like, are you guys extras on a set?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where it is. It's not at like casual Western clothing. It's pretty wild. Um, but
Coos deer or
yeah,
cows deer is
I
where
had a
you were
lot of
going.
assumptions about thermal scopes. 'Cause, 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 'cause and how effective they were. Well, I found out like if you're on the shady side of a mountain, you can use a thermal scope in the middle of a sunny day. Uh, and then at night, obviously, cold night, very effective. And I was just so blown away at how horrifying this was to me and how rapidly um, that mindset of like, oh my God, if somebody else is using it and it's legal, we have to adapt to it really fast too. Or, oh my God, we might not get a deer.
They call that a collective action problem.
And I'm
Where,
like, I spent my whole life not getting deer.
yeah,
It's not that big of a deal. At one point, I thought it was a really, really big deal. And certain times during my season, depending on my freezer, I can act like it's a really, really big deal. But I think our, like group think, as you say, like we just like lemmings to a cliff are like, well, if somebody else is going to use it, I better get it. The price of these things keeps going down. The size of these things keep going down. I think our game agencies have no ability to effectively regulate the use of these in the field. And, like we went turkey hunting this year, and it was that week where everything was silent. And it was just like you couldn't buy a gobble. And I've said for years, like one of my most like I love turkey hunting because you can drive old Forest Service roads, roll down the window and make a loud noise and shot gobble, right? At night. And this could have just been the fact that I was rarely in the right place at the right time, but I noticed that uh, even though it was dead silent for everybody, there were people on roosted birds very consistently. And it made me wonder, were they using thermal optics at night to roost birds that were otherwise unkillable, right? Like they were just dead silent. Like you never would have been able to find them unless you were like there watching a bird fly up into a tree.
do you,
Um,
do you think BHA should have a position statement on that kind of stuff?
well, for right now, our website's such a dumpster fire, Matt. Like, good luck finding much of anything. Um, we have been working on a bunch of position statements. Um, obviously, like drones, thermals, and I forget what else right now.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I hate this shit, man. It's like what I mean, you can't
Hey, drones are
have.
only for recovery, Matt.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like
Okay, they're only for recovery.
if you want to support more hunters, you can't also give them more technology. I mean,
You
just
cannot. And that's, Utah this past season, they had an iron sight center fire rifle season
mm-hmm,
that I want to say it was either like a general hunt that people could participate in, right? So like lots of opportunity, but you're limiting the effectiveness of the hunter in theory.
mm-hmm.
Or it was like a pretty generous limited draw.
Okay.
Um, and I think that's what we're going to see a hell of a lot more of. Like, um, invest in uh, flintlock muzzleloader
Right.
is what people should be doing, and get proficient with that thing because the rate at which we're going, that's the thing that you're going to have the most opportunity with because everything else is going to be so restricted.
Hmm.
Like I don't think it's far-fetched to be like, you bring all the technology you want with you. It's a 24-hour season. Good luck.
Right. No, I completely agree.
And if I could do it, it would be like no cell phones, no GPS communication, like absolute ban.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. I think that hunting, what I'm trying to, what I am trying to maximize is I want hunting to bring the greatest happiness and satisfaction to the greatest number of people possible. And I think if we limited technology, it would make more people would get more satisfaction.
100% agree. 100% agree. But it's not like, I think like pointing to like on X as the enemy is like you know, pointing to the gnat on the ass of the
I
rhinoceros charging
agree.
you
I
down.
agree.
It's
I think I
two-way
mean
communication.
I think of them as a good thing. Like I had a big beef with him with the owner for a while because he was like had this project landlocked where he was acting like he cared about landlocked public land, but then he was leasing and outfitting on landlocked public land, which was driving me nuts. But I think of them as a good thing because they allow us to stay on public land and you know not get
Limit
confused.
conflict.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go. I go places I wouldn't otherwise go because I'm like I can be assured that I'm on public. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I think of Onyx as a good thing. But yeah, thermals and drones and I don't know whatever these guys are using that allows them to
But
shoot a
only for
half
recovery,
mile.
Matt.
Right.
I know. I think it's going to take, and here's where like your conflict with hunting media comes in, because all of this is based off a social contract. And I think the only way to regulate some of these things is to make it so socially unacceptable that nobody touches them or wouldn't be caught dead with them.
Mm-hmm.
And in this day and age, like there's no way to do that without, um, all the forms of hunting media.
It's an interesting thought. I'm not aware of anybody getting busted. Well, yeah, what Idaho? There's some you can't use signal transmitting uh, cell phones anymore or
Oh, it's
cams anymore.
the game
Yeah,
cameras.
yeah.
Yeah, they did do that.
I mean, I don't think
But
I
in
don't know.
in our state, you're not supposed to use two-way to communication,
Right.
right? To like,
I don't think that media is going to be a good policeman of technology.
I don't know any other way to do it, right? In the entire history of America, there has never been
How is
enough
media
law enforcement.
how is making hunting videos going to help you catch people that use a
Well, because
they're
because they definitely like set trends. You see what I'm saying? It's like everybody's got to wear a blue hat. Um,
so
everybody
if they
like
set a trend against doing it.
right, exactly.
I don't know. Look at these media yabots as being there. I mean, I see people shooting deer at a half mile on social media all the time. So
No, I mean I'm talking
I
it's
think
got to
they
be like
set
a
the opposite
fundamental
ten.
fundamental ground shift change because the path that we're going down, it is inevitable that opportunity is going to go away.
Yeah.
I mean, it just has to, right? And like states do not adapt fast enough to the rapid adaptation of technology hitting the market to technology hitting the field,
Mm-hmm.
right? And yeah, I mean, I don't see any other way because like we've just never had enough game wardens in the field or enough law enforcement officers in general. Like all of what we do is based off of this social contract, right? Of like I could probably get away with it, but it's just not what I'm going to do. And in the back of my mind, I'm not going to do it. Maybe because somebody else could do it to me.
Yeah, I I I think that a lot of game laws are adhered to because by good people that do the right thing when no one's looking.
Hmm.
I I talk about this
Hmm.
with my friends all the time. I could poach for the rest of my life and not get caught pretty easily if I wanted to.
And
But
then the funny thing about our game laws too, right? It's like, hey, Mr. Poacher, I'm going to take away your license, which you didn't buy in the first place,
right,
right? Your theoretical ability to hunt has now been revoked.
not that you care about that because you're going to just yeah.
Yeah, you didn't care about it in the first place, but we're throwing the book at you now.
So another thing that hurts my heart about the media people and the orgs is like last year people were up in arms about this proposed sale of 3 million acres. And meanwhile, while that like over the last several years, these leased land companies, HLRBO, Infinite Outdoors, Land Trust, a couple others have have preempted access to over 3 million acres. And that 3 million acres holds 20 times more game than anything Mike Lee would have sold off. And you guys don't say boo. They're ripping acres out of state run access programs and driving up the cost of hunting. And as somebody that values high quality, publicly accessible, non pay hunting, it's just, I just don't understand how you guys don't say anything about it.
Are you lumping me in with stuff here?
Well,
I'm
I don't know. I have you publicly come out against them? Because if you publicly come out against them, then I apologize. But I didn't think that you had.
I've definitely spoken about land trust in the past. I'm not
Okay,
familiar with
then
the
not
other
you,
ones,
not you then.
but
But everybody else, I'd like to see BHA come out with a position statement that's like, we would ask that our members not try to further commodify hunting land. Like,
I think this is where uh, your group comes in well here, right? It's like the in this aspect, I think social pressure does have an effect for sure. Um, but we're like fighting against the free market, right? So what can we do to prevent those acres from ever being open to the idea of these other programs, right? Or other options.
yeah, I just think that the way to do it is like you were saying earlier, like the Hobbesian idea of a social contract. We as Americans, we value high quality, publicly accessible, non-pay hunting. We we don't want the European pay to play. We're trying to the best of our ability, preserve the North American model, and therefore we ask that our members don't use these services. It just seems like such a no-brainer. Like I spend 15 hours a week on Hunters for Access trying to prevent land from going into these freaking programs. And and they quietly insidiously suck up 3 million acres of like prime game habitat and nobody says boo about it, man. It's just
Hmm.
like that's one of the reasons why I do what I do, and it's just so hurtful to me. Like the cowardice. I'm not talking about you if you've come out, but the cowardice of everyone else. Oh, I can't say
Yeah.
anything about land trust because some of the
Do you think people are making that choice? Like, obviously, like if you're paid by them, you probably are. But, land trust was across my radar. The rest of those were not. And my mind is occupied with the possible sale of 200 million acres or the divestment of, the big public stuff.
Yeah, but this is a
In
5 minute.
addition
It takes
to,
5 minutes to write a post and say, we ask our members to
well,
preserve the
sure.
North American model
Well,
and
you become
not
a
use
member of
these
BHA
servers.
and we'll think about it.
I'm a life member of BHA.
Did you get my letter in the mail?
Yeah,
What'd you think?
that it's like that. That's why what you got. What's
Did
so
it
much
give
of
you
a
some warm and fuzzies? Were you enjoy it? Were you like, oh, this is a nice thing?
yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's good.
But like on my website, our group, we have some bullet points, and one of them is we don't support organizations that do R3. So yeah, I'm a kind of like a lapsed member. I'm officially a member, but
It's
um,
okay if you want to smile when you say it.
smile
I'm
when
gonna
I
make
say
you
what.
proud whether I'm gonna make you proud whether you want to be a proactive member or not.
You
So
guys,
that's my
if you want to
mission.
make me proud, it's going to take a lot of courage. It's going to take a lot of courage. Can we talk about corner crossing for a minute? Because
Sure.
this is another one where the cowardice, and I'm not talking about you again. I'm talking about the entire space. The cowardice to me is so hurtful. Like this corner crossing thing to me is such a red herring. Like, here's what the position should be amongst the public land hunting community. These guys that run cattle on these places allow public access to the landlocked, or they pay fair market value for the grazing rights. We would live in a more just, equitable society if they had to pay $23, which is the going rate right now, instead of $2, which is what they've been paying for decades. One time point it was down to $1.35. And it just hurts
Yeah.
my heart deeply that
I didn't even know that it came up to $2. I thought it was still a buck 35.
it just hurts my heart deeply that these organizations will come out in this most milk toast. Oh, we let us go across the corner. No, give us access to all of it or pay full price. I don't get why that's not the stance.
This is not milk toast, right? This is like my own deep thinking. Um, I should preface that with this is my version of deep thinking. Um, we're losing 2 million acres of grassland a year, like grazing land, most of which is all private. But that loss, in turn, is going to put more pressure on public. It's just how it works. Um, I think hunters should have a vested interest in keeping these operations on the landscape, provided they are also fulfilling their end of the social contract, which would be exercising their absolute best ability to follow uh, the most the best and most available science related to a grazing plan that allows for that landscape to be healthy and renewable and provide habitat for all sorts of wildlife. And then, I mean, all the other benefits, right? Like there's benefits to the
Water
aquifer.
filtration, yeah, everything.
Yeah. So we need that open space. We also, as we have already talked about here, have this system. I guess we haven't talked about the system, but we have talked about like limited access or too much access, rather. And when we talk
Too
about like
much access? What do you mean too much access?
too many hunters per square mile,
Oh,
right, huntable acre, like you said. Um,
I think that's due to a lack of access, but
yeah,
it,
but you could probably maybe do like one of these charts where the lines kind of parallel each other.
hunter.
Maybe if we're
When I
thinking
think
the same
I was
line.
like hunters per huntable acre. So I want that number to be small. And one way to make that number small is to make the denominator bigger, open up more land, and hunters per huntable acre goes down.
Yes. But I guess stick with me here.
Okay.
It's not a but, it's like a yes and, right? But how we mitigate the impacts of crowds on our public lands is provide this many uses approach to all the forms of access, right? Wilderness areas, inventoried road lists, BLM, conservation lands on BLM, uh, general U.S. Forest Service, seasonal closures, seasonal openings, however you want to put it, um, and like specific to whatever your preferred access is, right? Hiking, horseback, single track, motorized, uh, 50-inch, isn't it? It's 50-inch and less,
Mm-hmm.
side by side, and full size 4x4, right? And then regular 4 size, or regular full size. So at this point in the game, I do not agree, or I'm sorry, I don't not agree with you in the fact that um, having this argument over this very specific access point, the corner monument or whatever it may be, pile of rocks, um, as we play this long game, that can be a benefit too in how we are able to access those lands in the same spirit manner of how we mitigate pressure on all the rest of our public lands, right? And if you look at the Unlawful Enclosures Act, which is heavily based on intent, and literally, if I have the intent of accessing public land, I can go from public land to public land across your private land, wherever that may be, as long
What's
as that
this
is my
now?
intent.
What's this
The
now?
Unlawful Enclosures Act.
That's a
So
it's like I'm
that
not
that's
getting it.
that's passed by we the people, Congress of the United States in 1890.
Oh, but it's not enforced.
It's not enforced, but that is like one of the arguments in the Wyoming corner crossing
Okay.
case at the federal level, right? Like that was the thing that they were like, well, it turns out we already have this act in Congress that says American people have the right to access public land. And it's illegal to unlawfully enclose those lands
Okay.
with the intent of preventing the public from reaching public land, right? And then that's where intent can kind of run against us too, because you, Matt, would be like, well, it wasn't my intent to prevent that. That's just what happened.
How would you?
But that's
What do
like
you
a
mean? Like
big
me,
thing.
Matt? Like, am I in this hypothetical? Am I a landowner?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. How
Or
could I?
put me in that position,
You're going
whatever
to
you
be the
want. It's
land.
just the argument.
You're
Yeah,
the.
I'll be the landowner.
But
And
so you unintentionally prevent someone from going from place to place? How do you do that?
yeah, so
Run them over
right.
with your
So
truck?
no, instead of a 3-strand barbed wire fence, I'm gonna say, well, I'm gearing up for my giraffe operation.
Oh,
So I got a 16-foot uh, whatever, concertina wire fence or something like that, right? My intention is to keep my giraffes in. It's got nothing to do with anybody trying to access public land. But that particular argument hasn't been played out yet, but it is one that is out there
yeah,
when we talk about the Unlawful Enclosures Act. Yeah. So I
yeah,
guess what do you think about it is interesting too, and like, in my position at BHA, we have this phrase public landowner, and that applies to everybody, whether you're Mike Lee, who seemingly is absolutely opposed to the idea and concept of public land, or a rancher who allows or doesn't allow access, or whatever it is, like these are still your public lands. And so when we talk about this approach to corner crossing, which is access at the end of the day, um, my pie in the sky notion is I do want the support of those adjoining landowners, and I do want um, the I don't want to put it this way, but I will, like the good landowners, like all the folks that I grew up with, and all the folks that I run into all the time, who are like these big family operations who have kept these lands viable. And the reason that you want to hunt on them is because they look good, and tall grass makes fat cattle and good habitat for wildlife. Um, I want those people to remain on the landscape, and a lot of them still provide access either through private land public access programs, or um, if you knock on their door and you catch them in the right mood, they're going to be like, sure, go for it, right? Um,
But many don't, and many outfit that landlocked. And
yeah, and I think we're seeing a big
my
change
position
in
is
that
that it's
ownership
our
model.
land. It's our land. It's our public land, and you're running cattle on it for nearly free. And I would even be okay with, like, let us on there on our land, and you can run your cattle on there for free. It won't even be $2 an AUM. It'll be for free. But I just think that it's completely unjust that they pay a, a mere fraction of what that is worth, and then they exclude us, and then they hire an outfitter, and it just deeply saddens me
It
that
deeply saddens me too.
I'm the only
I don't
one
want you to
saying this
lump
public.
in, like,
Yeah,
that there's many colors of the rainbow within the landowner spectrum, right?
I'm talking about those people that don't
Yeah, like
allow
very
access.
specifically, the people that want to commoditize a public resource for private profit, right? For the benefit of themselves and the detriment of others,
Yeah, I mean,
like very specifically.
the problem I have, one problem I have with the ranching sectors, like in the farming sector, is beyond this. It's like you can go on the ag subsidy database and look up any farm and ranch in this country and what they
Yep.
get in terms of public money, and it goes back to 1995. I mean, a typical ranch, 20-30 million dollars of my taxpayer dollars, and it's like, and they can't even. I just think that that kind of money, there should be public access strings attached to it, and I think we'd have much more just society. I if we did that, I interviewed Ken Ilganis a while back. Do you know who he is? He wrote Right to Rome, a book, Right to Rome.
Oh, Mark Kenyon told me about Right to Roam, but I haven't read it yet. Yep.
So he said that was the impetus to a lot of Right to Rome laws in Europe, was that the public were financing the ag enterprises so extensively that there a lot of political pressure allowed to, or a lot of political pressure came about to put those laws in place. And it's like, I don't know. To me, it only seems fair that if we're bankrolling these places, we should have access to them.
Yeah, man.
At
I mean,
least the landlocked public.
I mean, if it's federally managed, or in a state like Montana where state lands are de facto public access, like I absolutely agree with you. I mean, I do. We aren't there right now. And what I want to do, and I think you really want to do too, through your program, is I want to see a like cohesive unit when it comes to agriculture and outdoor recreation. And I think there's all sorts of ways that one hand is going to benefit the other and vice versa. And as a lobbying group, we would be unstoppable.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it is in the absolute best interest of open space. And the value of open space is like incalculable for a couple of the things that we mentioned, right? Just like matriculation of water.
Yeah. I'm more of a, I'm more of a, when it comes to this stuff, I'm like, I'm not trying to pass any laws, you know. I'm just sad that people, organizations that do lobby the legislature and stuff like that aren't. I've got my work cut out for me. I'm trying to change the culture of hunting, pointing out the problems with hunting media, work on protecting public access programs. I don't have time to fricking be, lobbying the legislature. But
That's why
in
you
a,
should be a member of BHA,
I
a
am.
life member, active.
Um,
And technically you are active because you do correspond with me.
yeah.
So,
Okay.
all
All
right.
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Uh,
I don't have time for anything else. It's just, but yeah,
I mean, I just wrote and got a fantastic response, the chief of NRCS over when they released the new VPA HIP program
mm-hmm.
for this year. There was a hiccup in there that would have when states help administer that program for individual producers. There's I think in the interest of trying to prevent fraud, the disclosures of personal data that the state would have had to provide would actually like violate state law. And this was something that was brought to our attention, and it was one of the few like extremely cool expeditious things in my 6 months here where I sat next to this guy at dinner. We had a great, nice little chat. Turns out he's the chief of NRCS, newly appointed at that time.
You didn't know that
And
when you sat down with them?
nope, no idea.
Who did you
Um,
think you were eating dinner with?
it was just an open seat. A friend of mine
Oh,
from Ducks Unlimited was across the table
okay.
and was like, "Hey, come sit with us." Um, and yeah, man, I mean, he was on it immediately, and they revised that, and those VPA HIP funds are are flowing. So
That's
like that
awesome.
was a really good thing in a sea of very frustrating
No,
things
that's awesome.
right now, you
No,
know.
that's freaking great. That's
And that is one of those things that um, when you're a member of an organization, we hope to be working when you're not, right?
yeah, I mean that
Um,
I did you guys do outreach on that?
no, no,
Oh,
because it was just
that
kind of
no.
a.
I would. I think when you
I sent a
I mean
nice
it's a
thank you
huge
letter.
okay, but it just seems like you should make your members aware of that, you know.
Um, I'm as guilty as our chapter volunteers as far as like what I prioritize. You know what I've
Well,
noticed
that's the
when you're
opposite of
working,
most of these orgs, which are what do they overstate what they accomplish.
what I've noticed working with like these very mission oriented people is it is like pulling teeth to get them to, write a blog about something good.
Hmm.
And they don't prioritize it until it's perfect. And then by the time it's perfect, they've already moved on to the next thing. And that is like the sole beacon of light in their life. And no matter what it is, it's just like never going to be important enough to come back and report on.
Okay.
And that
That
is just
it's
like,
a tick.
uh, it is, man. Uh, the and then I guess on like farm bill related things, and I think you and I talked about this a little bit. And this is a program I would like to see come to Montana, and it is incongruous with what we just talked about. Full warning, But I mean, it would result in more dollars for public land grazers. And honestly, it would provide dollars for the private side of the fence too, um, for in new grazing plans, but higher incentives for better habitat thresholds and grazing practices in order to you know promote the health of the prairie ecosystem. The inaugural project is down in like the Oklahoma, Texas, Southern Colorado zone. It's called Lesser Prairie Chicken Landowner Alliance, and it's all private. But at this point, it's like the 90% of wild prairie, lesser prairie chicken habitat is on private land. And awesome group of landowners that I've chatted with a handful of times now. Um, and they're like, we want to save ranching. And by saving ranching, we'll save the lesser prairie chicken. Um, and they're awesome folks. And I think that program should be expanded. And I would love to see it come to Montana, and as like the Greater Sage Grouse Landowner Alliance, right?
Oh, I'm all about giving more public money to the ranching community for habitat and stuff. I'm all about giving them the money, all the money. I just think there should be access strings attached. And but the part that pisses me, okay, I'm all for giving them money for habitat without access strings attached. Like, but what pisses me off is all the millions and millions of dollars they get in price supports, direct subsidies, disaster relief.
And then certain individuals act like it is absolute sacrilege for a human being to walk from public land to public land without ever contacting private land.
Yeah.
Yep. There's
an
imbalance there.
That's exciting, what you were saying about the farm. So the Farm Bill has passed the Senate and it needs to pass the House to get enacted. Is that correct?
Ooh, I had that backwards. I thought it passed the House and has moved on to the Senate.
Maybe I got it backwards.
No, I wasn't. I was not following that today. I just saw a couple of headlines.
My understanding was that whatever side of the aisle it hasn't passed in, it was going to be an uphill battle. So it's under some kind of continuing resolution for like that until it gets passed. And I don't know. We don't need to speculate. It's something we could pause and look up. But if it does pass, I remember podcasting a couple years ago with Whit Fosberg, and he was saying that there would be a $50 million increase in VPA HIP if it passed.
Yeah, I mean VPA HIP is for the expanse of agricultural land where it's applicable in the United States. Like, it is not a well-funded program.
So just for the people that don't know, it's a voluntary public access habitat improvement program. It's a program that compensates landowners for doing habitat improvement and allowing public access, public hunting access. So, and a lot of these little tiny state-run access programs are funded through that mechanism. So
there's we've seen a lot of loss in federal workforce at all levels. And there used to be a lot of people on the ground facilitating access to those programs, plus every other in the Farm Bill. And a lot of those people don't exist anymore. And so we are seeing like bottlenecks of cash not being implemented on the ground. And so we are in a spot where it's like, just because we get something passed doesn't mean that cash is going to make the impact that the headlines make it.
They don't have the personnel necessary to dole out the money. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, we've seen like a very literal situations of the person in the office who writes the signature on the check does not exist. Like,
Oh,
yeah, like
wow.
things like that.
I could see
Like,
that. In my agency, it's that way right now, where it's devilishly hard to get anything done because of stuff like that.
yeah. So, um, and yeah, I mean, some of that cash that you're talking about, like, the average ranch, like what they get, they're not getting like a check for $20 million cash money, but it is the equivalent of in um, tax breaks, subsidies that they qualify for. Um, it's a very tangled web that I have tried to dig into many times and have always hit like a wall of educational understanding.
Hmm. Yeah, it's complicated.
Yeah. But I mean, I will point out, like right now, like crazy high diesel prices. We have agricultural goods in bottlenecks all around the world, including the Strait of Hormuz, that are driving up operational costs. And the demand on these properties for absentee recreation, very high. So my fear, and this ties back into why I do feel like we should be invested in supporting uh, ideally partners in agriculture, is like I think we could see like an absolutely catastrophic turnover in these family ranches who, from my personal anecdotal hunting experience, are doing it right. They're managing the land well, and they are providing access in some form, even if it's not in a state sanctioned or federally sanctioned private land public access program. I once we opened up, not even once we opened up the lawsuit, prior to, but ever since, I have been having a lot of conversations with landowners in the state as far as like their position on corner crossing. And I've been amazed at how many ranchers in the state of Montana are like, I want corner crossing because I want people to be able to get on my neighbor's property who is never there and move the elk around the way that they used to be moved around.
Oh, that's
Right. And these people
interesting.
have skin
Yeah.
in the game. They have checkerboard on their properties too.
Um, the president of our Hunters for Access chapter in Montana, he's a tractor salesman and repairman, and um, I don't. I'm sure he runs into people like that too, but he runs into way more people that are ranchers that are diametrically opposed to corner crossing. Um,
Or yeah, yeah. Um,
and hey, man, your point about the turnover of these properties, it's you. So I go to landowner appreciation dinners around this state uh, that are hosted by Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks to thank landowners that allow public access through the block management program. Our Kansas chapter, they do the same. I just went to one in Wyoming. Man, the landowners that are enrolled in these programs are long in the tooth.
yeah, yeah.
And
Um,
I don't know. I just can't imagine when the next generation takes over, um, or somebody else buys those places, that's going to translate into more access. It's hard for me to believe.
yeah, that's a hard thing to believe. I will, and this is anecdotally, right? Like I got cousins that are that age and they're taking over the operation all over the state. Um, and interacting with them and drinking beers with other people in their community that are the same age. I have a real reason to be optimistic
Oh,
with
okay.
that next generation because their worldview is a lot bigger. Their willingness to try virtual fencing, change up different crops, do things differently than mom and dad is mind blowing, staggering. It like blows away a lot of the tropes of the old farmer rancher, right? And and there's got to be a path forward there because I just I have to believe it. I love my home state. I love my people. But B, the conversations that we're having, there's a lot more doors open there than than the narrow-mindedness that I think a lot of people would jump to.
No, I hope you're right and I'm wrong. That's good. That's good to hear. I should
Yeah, and
let
I mean, we got to convert people always, you know. And I'm not poking fun here, right? But there is like, I do think like R3 is like antiquated. Um, I think a lot of what we do really is community building and that public landowner thing. I'm committed to making that like an ethos because I believe that the best scenario, ownership turns into stewardship. And it's like I am have a vested interest in our public lands, waters, and wildlife. I have got to do what I can to improve these things and promote that sense of ownership in the next person I come across. Um,
yeah, I mean the hunting community being engaged is going to be critical if we want to keep the North American model in place. I lose a thread at R3 because instead of this convoluted process of we need to recruit hunters, then get them to give a shit about conservation and access, it's too many steps for me. I mean,
yeah.
the vast majority of people of hunters don't belong to any organization. So to me, it's
Oh,
like
for sure. And they're not
why
picking up the phone
recruit
and calling
hunters and
their,
then turn them into advocates? Why not just get the existing hunting community to be activists?
yep, yep. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, absolutely. I think what I see way more at our events, and certainly like our stewardship events would be like really good examples, is we get a big mix of people out there, a lot of non-hunters who then interact with hunters, and they're truly like blown away by the fact that whatever their idea of a hunter was did not include giving a shit about the actual landscape
Mm-hmm.
during not hunting season. And then they have this appreciation or new perspective, at least, on what a hunter is. And we have, yeah, we have a lot of goofy examples of people being like, I'm going to donate to BHA, but I don't want to be a member and I don't want it registered because I can't contribute to a hunting organization.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
But I really like what you're doing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Uh,
And but I do
um,
think that those people, and that's a Colorado example, right? With the crazy ballot initiatives there. And I do think that those people um, are not going to be nearly as susceptible to signing on the whatever the signature takers line.
yeah. Uh, yeah, that's another challenge we face if we want to keep it alive. Is that Americans' approval of hunting is in major decline. From 2001 to 2025, it went to 81 to 73%. According to those American attitudes towards hunting, fishing, and shooting sports surveys that are conducted every couple of years. So, yeah, statistically significant 8% decline in approval of hunting in the U.S. in the last in 4 years.
What's
And I
interesting because in this administration, all those people who don't approve of hunters and want their wild spaces and public lands to remain wild and public, they need hunters because we're the ones who are being listened to, but we got to do it with a more defined and focused voice.
Yeah. I think we're also the ones causing the decline in approval. I think it's social media is driving that to a large extent.
Well, it's the amplifier, right?
Yeah. I mean, just like the Aaron Snyder thing last week. If you,
I didn't see that.
oh, this private investigator in,
Matt, I do want to tell you that I got
yeah,
crying
well, yeah,
things back here that-
we can leave that for another time. But anyway, yeah,
all right, sorry about that.
No. I'm surprised you stayed on as long as you did. You get back to your family.
All right. I'll text you a picture of that puppy.
Yeah, please do.
Yep.
All right. Well, it started out like we were fighting, but then it got a little better. So
Oh, a little better?
got a lot better.
Oh, I'd give you a big old bear hug.
I'd give you a squeeze for sure.
Yeah, good deal. Well, yeah, let me know. As a life member, you always got a pipeline to me. So let me know how we're
we
doing.
collaborated on something just last year. Did you know that?
I have I got a bunch more things coming, and I think you would want to be involved here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You guys and the Wilderness Society and us, we chipped in and bought a calf for this guy that lost his calf due to a hunting accident on his ranch that's in block management. So we already have a collaborative relationship.
Yeah.
Go take
we've
care of
already
your.
talked about some of this stuff, but we'll talk about it again later.
Okay.
Thanks a bunch for the opportunity, Matt. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.